Did you know that Vikings were the first Europeans to set foot on continental America? And when you think of the great explorers of the Age of Discovery, names like Columbus and Magellan spring to mind. But did you know that over 500 years before Columbus, a band of Norsemen had sailed across the Atlantic and established a settlement in Newfoundland, Canada? When the Vikings started to explore and raid along the coasts of Europe during the 8th century, they quickly found that there was more profit to be made in the New World than in the Old. According to the 13th century chronicler Snorri Sturluson, the first European to set foot in North America was a man named Bjorn who stumbled upon the island of Helgeland while on a voyage from Scandinavia to the Byzantine Empire. Bjorn and his men returned home to brag about their discovery, but the next year a massive fleet of Viking longships arrived in Helgeland carrying 5,000 men. The fleet was led by a man named Eric the Red, who had been exiled from Iceland for manslaughter. Eric quickly set about establishing a settlement, but the local population, which we today call the Beothuk, weren't exactly welcoming. After a few skirmishes, Eric decided to move his people further south to an island he named Markland, or the Land of Forests. Meanwhile, back in Scandinavia, tales of these new lands began to spread, and more Vikings started to head across the Atlantic. In the year 1000, a fleet of 200 ships carrying 10,000 men landed in North America. This time, though, the Vikings didn't just stay on the ships. They went ashore and explored the interior of the continent. What they found was a vast and empty wilderness, which they described as the most desolate and barren waste of land that they had ever seen. Still, they decided to press on and eventually came across a mighty river which they followed to its source. There they found fertile fields and plenty of wild animals to hunt. So they built a settlement and named it Vinland after the wild grapes that grew there. From there, the Vikings established a trade network that stretched from Newfoundland to the mouth of the Mississippi River. They traded with the local populations, who provided them with furs, timber, and food in exchange for European goods like cloth, tools, and weapons. The Vikings also began to farm the land and raise livestock, and they even introduced the horse to North America for the first time. But as the 11th century wore on, the settlements in Newfoundland and Vinland were gradually abandoned for reasons that are not entirely clear. Perhaps the Vikings had simply discovered that there was more money to be made back in Europe. Or maybe the harsh climate and endless winters of North America just weren't worth the trade that could be done there. Whatever the reason, the Norse presence in North America came to an end around the year 1100, just in time for the continent to be discovered by Europeans once again 400 years later. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned.